Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of the Zero Strategy Podcast. For once, I actually knew what the prank was going to be, because I could see you all
practicing.
I could see you all practicing. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you're watching live, hello. Thank you. I believe this is episode 11. I said 11.
Yep.
I think that's right.
It's 11.
Yep, there we go. I'm right. So we have a lot of fun things to talk about today. First of all, we'll just go around. I am joined today by my wonderful co-hosts. First of all, we have Grog. Hello, Grog.
Hello.
We have Cyber.
Hello.
We have got Josh, aka Sir Humps.
Hello.
We have got the Mighty Kibbles.
Hello there.
And we have our special guest of the week, DoliBoi. What's up?
Yo.
So as you will know if you've listened to the show regularly, we always start with a brief catch up with everybody, seeing what they've been up to the last week. We have been mega consistent with podcast episodes, so it actually will be a week since we spoke to most people. So
There's some good content in the pipeline.
oh yeah, we're all over it. So first of all, Grog, what have you been up to this past week? What have you been doing?
This past week, I played a new game for the first time. It's called A Way Out. It's really fun. I think we're about halfway through. It's a two-player co-op game I'm doing with Bubbles right now, and I've had an absolute blast. Effectively, you've got a split screen where you can see both players' actions at the same time, and sometimes it's a joint screen, but it almost feels like a movie that you're playing through. And it is ripe for fun storytelling, both like the formal, scripted kind, and also the informal, like doing goofy shit kind. And it's been a blast. We're gonna do that after this is over, and I've just been playing a heck of a lot of Warzone with most of these goons.
Nice. Yeah, I've played A Way Out. It's very, very fun. Me and Manu played that together. Good
I was told
times.
that Manu did not catch you at a pivotal moment where Bubbles did catch me.
There's a fantastic clip where the bit where it's slow motion and you both have to click a button and neither of us pressed it, but we didn't communicate it. We just sat there silently watching it unfold. It was magical. Yeah, that's a fantastic game. I saw you were playing that, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. Cyber, what have you been up to?
Mostly Valorant. That amazing game that just came out. It's finally clicking. I'm actually like killing people and not dying every round. So that's good. I've been recording a whole bunch of stuff for YouTube, which I am super excited for. I hate editing, so that's gonna take like 6 months to come out. IRL, just been like walking a shitload trying to get healthy, and apart from that, that's it. Stuck inside as per everyone else, and it's slowly driving me mad.
Yep.
I just want to get like a blanket and cocoon myself for the next 6 months and let this whole shit blow over.
I'm still weirdly fine with all of this.
I'm
fine just never leaving the house.
Yeah.
I hate not being able to go out at like 2 a.m. and get a McDonald's milkshake and some chicken nuggets. Like that is what's actually driving me insane. But apparently it's reopening in the UK soon, which I am perfectly fine with.
Yeah. No,
I think it's like the 13th of May or something like that. I'm like, it's already in my calendar.
All right, and Humps, what have you been up to?
Taking care of kids yelling in the background. That's for damn sure. Fighting over a friggin' My Little Pony blanket. Don't have kids. That's PSA.
Whoa!
Don't have kids.
That is the quote for today. Don't have kids.
I'm doing great. I did some rearranging for live viewers. You can see my angle might be different from last time.
Like your
cleaning.
angle.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It accentuates the dangle.
It's all about the angle of my dangle. So I cleaned out my room, moved my desk around, moved some angles around, and nearly broke my back because I'm old. Everything's going better now. Well, it's better. I'll say that. I can sit without. Anyway. And if you haven't noticed, they refer to me as Sir Humps because, yes, I've changed my name. I will say once again, however, it will be the last time. It is Sir Humps, and people keep confusing it with other words. They are incorrect. It is Sir Humps, or Josh. Josh is fine. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get into the name change stuff a little bit more later on because kind of perfect for this week. Kibbles, what have you been up to? I think I know the answer, but
Warzone.
Yeah, there we go.
That's all you do now.
Yep, it's all I do. 6 to 8 hours a day. But I've been actually working on videos for once and uploading to my YouTube, which had been dead for a little while.
Yeah, I saw the D&D one. Really, really good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet,
The one was good.
check out everybody.
It's
very
it
good.
was emotionally scarring, but I got over it.
I enjoyed it. Good. Glad to hear it. And yeah, man, I see you just on Warzone constantly now, so I'm glad you're having a good time with that. I finally got it updated, so maybe I can get some games in with you soon.
Ooh.
Hopefully. All right, and then our special guest joining for the week, Dolly. So we've introduced you a little bit, but this is the portion where we kind of interview you a little bit, so get to know you a little bit better. So first of all, how did you get started with all this? How long have you been on Twitch? Give us the backstory.
Well, I started on Twitch. It was basically like a 2020 thing. I was like, I really wanted to get into the whole streaming side of things. I was kind of bouncing back and forth, I think, throughout the month of January-ish on Mixer and Twitch, and which one, because, as a new person, you said.
Yeah, no.
And then I stumbled upon Connie's stream, and the rest is history. No. So I've been streaming for about
Hey guys, what's a sub?
3 months. Yeah. 3 months. 3 months now. It's been 3 months. And yeah. I was very new, but I wasn't shy.
Yeah, but
I asked all the basic questions.
Part of the reason why I wanted to ask Dolly on was just because you've been knocking it out of the park. As someone who, well, I mean, all of us have started somewhere, right? Like some of us started on different platforms and then moved from one to the other, or some of us like started out knowing a lot more than others might have. I didn't know jack shit. But like you, in a few months' time, you hit affiliate in a month.
Yeah,
is that right?
It was like, it was like the day, because it takes like the 30 days or like the full month to just to have the stats accumulated, to have them figure it out or whatever. And it was like the day of my first stream. Was like I like the first stream was like on February 9th, and it was like March 9th I got the email, so that was pretty sick.
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
You were doing a lot right.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, and I think for me, like one of the things that I noted early on was you clearly already were aware of brand. You had a brand already because you came into this, because you have a background in other things. Do you want to talk about that in terms of what you did before streaming and what you're still doing?
Yeah. So as you can already tell, like probably with the camera quality, is like I do video. That's actually my full-time job. I got the job last week.
Oh, nice.
So
Yo,
I'll talk about
congrats.
that.
Good job.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I'm a full-time video editor. And then I also work part-time at a record label and for photo and video as well. So I knew a lot about how all of that works and how things sync up, and I figured it was kind of a part of my brand was to have not like high quality, it's a part of it,
Yeah.
because I came in with obviously a lot more than what people normally start out with. Not that it makes a difference or that it matters that much, but I mean it does help quite a bit. Yeah.
I mean, at the time before you started streaming, and now that you have been doing it for a while, like I'm curious as to what does brand mean to you? Like what is a brand?
Brand is you, which sounds corny, but it's like especially for a single person, it's like think of a brand as like a wingman, but you're not even at the bar. Think of it as like you're just your sidekick, your stunt double,
it's a sense of identity.
Yeah. So it's there to help you when you're not even there. So for instance, for my website, I have, music videos and my weddings on there. So if I'm trying to book weddings, a lot of people think of branding as just colors and fonts and stuff like that, which it is. But it has to come from deep within you. No, but like it has to match kind of who you are. Cause like when you look at colors, you think of, you feel certain things. And that should reflect, right. It should reflect you. So like for weddings, if I'm trying to book these kind of clients, these colors might actually help get those type of people that I'll like just naturally blend with because they're like me, in just a general sense.
So what were you
But
working with before you started streaming? Like what was, because you were operating under Dollars for Films, right? That was your
yeah.
handle for the wedding stuff.
Mhm.
And then you had a logo that accompanied that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much, and I didn't even have it like 100% together. But I mean, the brand comes with, it's not because I didn't have like the colors and the fonts and all that together. But what I did have was, everybody knew me for my amazingly quick turnaround time. Like it was no longer than 2 weeks for like literally anything. And that was like one of the biggest parts of the brand. And that's because that's the problem with branding, is it's like it's this broad topic, but it all comes down to like just you and like what you do. Because like for me, like with that quick turnaround time, like that became a part of going to me for some work, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
If that answers that, I think.
No, I think you answered it really well. I think the idea of I never thought of it in that context the way you put it, but I actually quite like the analogy of it's your wingman, it's your sidekick, it's your co-pilot on this whatever you're doing, because when you're not there, your brand is what lingers, right? So when you're not live, think of it, it can apply to anything, because if you think of it from the perspective of branding for a bank, branding for a restaurant, branding for a TV show. I just listened to an interesting news bit on NPR the other day, which was talking about audio brands. And like they did a Q&A where they quizzed some people and had them listen to like the HBO, like, you know, like that sort of warm crackle coming in.
I immediately hear the
Net-
Game of Thrones music following that.
Yep.
Yeah. And how important that is. So it lingers with you. That the interesting thing about audio brand was like that it does have this resonance, you know, that
Oh
like
well,
a
yeah.
really
Take
good brand
the whole
like
TikTok meme with a certain website.
yeah. Or just ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like I mean you people know like I'm loving it, you just want to finish it.
Yeah.
And so you mentioning that it's kind of like this thing that persists outside of yourself after you're gone is a great way to think about brand, because it's people start to formulate these like associations, I think, in their brain between like there's the experience of engaging that brand, and then there's what the brand does to kind of help you remember it. And like, you know, some of it, like you said, it might be color, like a color pathway, you know, like TD Bank here in the States like has a very specific green they use on everything. You know, it could be the typeface, you know, and it could be like, just like you said, you're setting the tone or the theme. I mean, for me, like I went to I don't know, what I would be curious to hear what like other people's backgrounds are with brand and like how they decided on their brand for their stream. But for me, like my undergrad is in graphic design. I went and got my bachelor's in fine art, and I hadn't done it in quite like more than 15 years. 18 years. Jesus, I'm old.
I haven't done it as long as Wolfie's been alive.
Yeah, probably. But I had that background, and I always like dabbled in it on the side. So even though I was, you know, I was working at a hospital for 9 years, and I was working as a librarian for like the last like 8 some odd years, like I've still tinkered with it in different projects. I figured out different ways to work it in. But for me, branding was always important, because I was taught that like brand isn't necessarily just about defining an image for a thing, you know, but it also is just a means for conveying information. So if you have a playful brand that says something about the nature of what people might be able to expect, if it's light broad colors, cartoony, cute, there's something that goes with
Fonts
that.
are
If
all
it's
fun and kind of sporadic and such.
if it's very austere and like high contrast, like, I mean, Nike, it's all about efficiency, it's clean, you know, like you have an expectation of what you can get out of the experience when you engage it based on your first impression. And just like a first impression on a date or a first impression with a new friend, like it's the thing that you want to land right. You want people to get the right impression of you. And for me, that was like consistency was the most important thing that stood out. So for me, it was always like same color pathways for like, you know, all the little bits, the header and like the info panel and like the overlay. Like I want it all to gel.
Yeah.
How about anybody else?
So mine is I have a few things, a few thoughts on branding because, as Dolly knows, mine was an absolute train wreck. You know, and I mean more in terms of my physical branding and with relation to Twitch, like with the panels, the emotes, the overlays, all that sort of thing. Mine was very much just taken from everywhere and thrown together, and it's a lot more cohesive now. Thanks to Dolly, he did a lot of stuff for me. One of the things that made me realize, like, oh, holy shit, this guy knows a good amount about this that I don't know, and it was kind of eye-opening to have that. Oh god, I broke it. Hold on, I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it. All right. Manu joined as I was talking, which is it's fine. This is easily.
It was Sunday.
If you are watching live, my apologies. I'm gonna fix this real fast.
I had my Streamlabs open, so streamer mode wasn't enabled on Discord. I didn't even hear the call.
Okay, well, so that guy Cod's joining us as well. Hello. Okay, I fixed. There we go. Right. So yeah, in my opinion, branding, the best way to do it is to have it based around you first of all, right? So you decide a theme or some personality trait. Like for me, it is very much like the beard, and I'm bad at games, but sometimes I'm funny, and like even the vaping to an extent, like it all kind of comes together. One person I think has a great brand is the Doc, right? The Doc is this 80s villain character, and all of his music is kind of 80s synth themed, and I feel like his all of his assets in his stream kind of match that with that same style, that same theme. And I mean, almost if I hear that style of music, that sort of synth wave, I think of the Doc immediately, right? Like it's the first kind of thing that pops into my head because that's all of his brand. And that works perfectly because he made a character and then he built the rest of it from that starting point. And I think a lot of
there's
people,
a continuity throughout, you know.
Exactly.
There's like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, just think, well, okay, I need a color scheme. That's my brand. Like you need to start from somewhere more you, right? And then build out. Like the beard is like a huge thing in my channel. Like all the branding's to do with the beard, right? I can never shave, or else it'll cost me a fortune in rebranding. You know, like
how much money would it take for you to like shave that off?
I'm keeping it for a charity incentive one day. That's my goal. You know, one day.
Who would want that?
Nobody wants it. You know, the beard hides the ugly. Once the beard's gone, oh my
You're
god.
beautiful. Fuck you, right? Never say
I'm
that
saying,
again.
who would want that beard? I plan on donating it.
No.
Locks of love.
I purely meant like, you know, just for the fun of like seeing me with no beard. But like that's like a big part of the brand, and that's just because of that's just me. That's just who I am. So it's easy. If you try and go for a brand that doesn't fit your personality, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean?
Or you just have to work twice or three times as hard to keep making it work. It's
Sure.
like, I think it kind of comes back to a topic that gets tossed around sometimes about personality streamers. It's like if you're going to be a personality streamer where you're creating a persona that isn't necessarily, maybe it's an extension of yourself, it isn't the way that you act all the time, then like that's draining. That requires a lot of energy to be on. You got to be switched on, engaged, and it's not going to be limited just to if you're live. It's going to be like in any promotional stuff that you do, in any ad copy stuff that you do, in any graphics you do. Like you're going to have to live that persona, so be ready for that to be the thing, the mantle that you want to carry. Like that's going to be the hill that you die on, so like make it worth it, I guess. But
yeah, like the Doc's character is pretty extreme, but it's like he does it so almost effortlessly. I feel like I'm not going to say not far off from who he is, but I feel like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty close to how he is, just in general, you know?
Like, you think he wears that wig like when he's having coffee in the morning with his wife?
I thought you were going somewhere else.
Yeah,
I was. I decided not to.
That was a quick
the wig
U-turn
stays
there.
on.
Yeah.
I love the
wig
picture
sticks
of
out,
him.
and the headphones.
I love the picture of him at the basketball game somewhere. There's like a photo taken of the crowd, and you just see the Doc with his headset on and everything. And he's not even the main part of the photo. It's like a picture of a player. You just see the Doc in the background in the crowd.
Just like, where's Waldo?
Yeah, it's so good. He's got the full mustache shades. The fucking headset is great. I love it. Hilarious branding. Really, really good.
how about anybody else in terms of like how they came to their brand or like what thought they've put into it?
I've got a a wild ride when it comes to branding, because I've changed my name so many goddamn times. And my overlay changes almost every week. But one of the main things that I did realize with branding, it kind of stems off what Dolly was saying. It's almost like an existential representation of who you are. So I've almost built it on being like this happy-go-lucky, funny. Well, I say that lightly. I'm not funny. Just like a fun person to be around, and I've kind of built my brand around that. And what I've noticed that you see when you meet people like externally at conventions or meetups or whatever, they want to approach you because that's your brand. You're a nice person to talk to. You're not like this stuck up streamer that's like, I don't answer to anybody else other than subs. Like that almost like
And only on Tuesdays.
I think like building your brand around your personality, like everyone seems to have done it. It represents you in a good way. It's not your name to me. It's not your logo. It's obviously that does help. It's almost it's a representation of who you are, and if you can build that, then you're almost you don't have to explain it. It's there's Cyber or Billy, the nice person to go and talk to. Let's go and say hi, or whoever.
It
Like
becomes effortless.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it kind of
Yeah.
goes on the back of what you were saying. If someone's faking it, and like you have to force to be that like persona, like the doc does it effortlessly, but like it's easy. It's who you are, and it's just it's a fun time. It's easy.
And it's better because it comes effortlessly and people can tell, and then it all just kind of really sinks in. It all works because it is what it is. It's you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, agree.
I think something that's interesting too that I've seen some people do is pull in hobbies or other things that maybe are not necessarily the core component of their channel. You know, maybe they main a certain game or maybe they main a certain style of genre. But if they have a hobby or other activity that they can like weave into it, I've seen that work well too. And one person that I'm thinking of that I know that Dolly's into is Amaze. He streams Destiny. He's really good, but he is a huge personality, massive personality. And part of that too is his other passion. Very clearly, he wears it on his sleeve. Is music. It's
Mhm.
music and hip hop and like being able to freestyle rap. And he, without like saying, okay, well, he streams first person shooter games and he's super into like music production and he also freestyle raps. You're like, wow, that
The
just seems like
vibes.
a wild grab bag, right? But
Mhm.
he just works it all in, and part of that,
he just yeah.
and part of
He
that is
just
because he has brand elements, like he has signature, like I guess he has it set up on his stream deck, I assume, signature applauses, that it sounds like they're not like cheesy, they actually like they sound clean, like they're
Right.
in stereo. It sounds
like a
like
radio
he's
show.
in an audience. And
Mhm.
it's so like, but he keys them in at the right times. He has like overlays where, and I've seen plenty of streamers do this too, where they have it puts them in an office or at a desk, or like it has them look like they're in a studio, almost like a broadcaster. And that those kinds of things like add a little bit of polish that helps dovetail what might otherwise be disparate things, Destiny and freestyle rapping. Like, unless, I'm thinking of that like Japanese video where like they had the live action Destiny guys like, doing breakdancing. Like, there's not a lot of instances where those two things overlap, but like he makes it work, and he makes it work because he's owned it and he's made it his, and he puts these personal flourishes on it that like just every time I stop by the stream, he just nails it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my background, what got me into video, well, I was always into video, but like what got me the jump start was I was in a band, and we were trying to do the touring thing, whatever. We had, I knew a lot of people, and that I was lucky that were supporting me going into video. But I've always loved singing. I've always loved playing music. And that was like even before I started getting paid for doing video stuff. And so with the stream, I've been trying to find ways to incorporate the music side as much as possible. And the outro that I made
So
was
good.
pretty
That's
big.
my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
was got pretty big on Twitter. Like that was by far like the biggest tweet I've ever
Do you want to
had.
explain it for people
And,
who haven't seen it?
Yeah, so it's basically it's a super catchy song. that I wrote, and all the lyrics are about streaming and ending and when you can find me and stuff like that. Like I sing like check the schedule and stuff like that. So
it's very
yeah.
auto-tuned. It's very
Yeah.
poppy.
Yeah.
It's soulful too. Like, I mean, he's
Mhm.
just like, the
Yeah.
stream is ending now, and you're just
Yeah.
like, whoa, like what the fuck? It's so
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
So and that's another side of me. That's another hobby that I like. So that I wanted to work and like weave that into the brand, I guess, you know. I mean, not as hard as Amaze does it, because that's much more of a focal point, but you know, it's just another interest of mine, and that you should incorporate in the branding, because again, it's you know. So
I mean, something else you've done, Dolly, which I find interesting is, you know, we've talked about, like, I think everyone here has shared how they've wanted to make it personal. They've wanted to impart some sense of their self, or at least convey a sense that they want people to see with their brand. But you know, some of that is just how you present your body, but like also there are the fine details. There is the logo, your typeface, you know, um all that stuff. And one thing that you've done is, between your different games that you stream, you started making different overlays. You started making different, not, I mean, almost to the extreme. Like, I would
Yeah.
say that you have a tinkering problem,
Yes, I
but in
do.
a good way.
I can relate.
Yeah,
to that.
Cyber has the
yeah,
same thing.
We're gonna get on well.
Right.
But I think that, like, what's really cool is you realize that you have, on one hand, your brand. This is you, Dolly, right?
Mhm.
And then you also have the brand for the games that you're doing. So like, you're focusing on, you know, like all of your Call of Duty Wars and stuff. It's like blues and grays. It's echoing a lot of the same tonal components of that game. And then when you do like Destiny, you have like this sort of sci-fi retro futurist, you know, like
Mhm.
vibe to it. And to me, I think that's wonderful, because people tune into different games for different reasons. Some people,
Mhm.
you know, because they like just the sheer action of it. Some people, they like the aesthetic. I mean, can you explain why you chose to focus on those aesthetics, and why were they important?
I don't know. I thought it would be fun, because like I guess the editing thing is like the main stream. But I wanted to have like even more fun with when I would game, and I thought that would, you know, make it, you know, just literally seeing it as this crazy, you know, whatever would make it more fun. It was also just good practice for me. But I also came to realize that it's more of I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like actually Greg and I were talking about it one night. It's like, so I have Eric Dalster Films, which is like my LLC, and then it tiers down, same way as like Facebook is Facebook. It's its own thing, but Facebook also owns Facebook, but they own Instagram as well and stuff like that. So like when you open the Instagram app, it says like from Facebook on the bottom. So it's kind of like, I have Eric Dalster Films, and then there's like Eric Dalster, which is like the professional side for like all the, you know, the YouTube, the Instagram, the website and stuff like that. But then there's, you know, ItsyaDoliBoi brand, which is the more personal side, and that's the more fun side, you know, whatever. And it just kind of stemmed off of that. I just wanted to have more fun and have the overlays just kind of represent that, I guess, or just push that, I guess. And then just have like the logo be like the driving force, everywhere, all the time.
So good.
So I don't know. It's a lot to explain, because it can get really complicated, but it also really doesn't need to be. That's kind of the other thing is, you know, with the record label, like they have a brand that's pretty complicated and deep, but it's also because it's not just that one person. It's them trying to like throw out all these artists and their goal and everything. They're trying to drive this message, you know, and that can get complex. So
You see all of those like ideas being forced into a like one brand being useful, or is it more like a hindrance for the record label? Obviously, you're talking about it being simple and defined, but obviously you work for this other company and
right.
you see like how much they're trying to cram into a brand. You see that like working or not working?
Well, it's hard to get across, because it's something that definitely is going to take time, because I just learned it not too long ago. I've been here for a year, and I just kind of actually understood it not too long ago. So it is complex, but it makes sense because all the artists are so diverse. The brand should also be that diverse. Is kind of the simplest way to put it.
See, when you say diversity, you mean music, like genre, or do you mean like background?
Like yeah, music, I mean it's all still relatively like solo artists, like that's the center of it, but you know there's like a little like there's more of like a little peep genre dude, there's a you know like a more Justin Bieber-y kind of dude, there's you know this girl that does like a kind of like folky. Oh, there we go, hold on. There we go, hold on, I didn't do it before the thing. There we go.
He wasn't joking. He really did pick him.
Whoa! Nobody says that anyone has a better beard than
happened?
you. They get kicked
Oh
from
my
the
goodness!
call.
No, all right. What was I saying? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, this and the other girl was more like folky kind of pop. So I mean, they're you know they have that core, but they're all.
It's basically like the brand. Yeah. The brand for them is building an idea that can encompass a multitude of different artists that can be built underneath
umbrella.
An umbrella,
a symbol,
a symbol
right.
umbrella. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's like because we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they want to make sure that you know it's like, hey, we're known that we're here because like you know like the solo artist thing is like there, but like they want to push it out to other people, like more like nature vibes and stuff like that to represent like the different genres and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Wait,
it's really hard to explain.
No, but I think that's good though. I think that I think you hit it on the head, and I think music is actually a really easy like allegory for this idea, because if you think about it, like you know there'll be some, like you said, if they have a diverse label with diverse musicians on it, it needs to kind of have something that can be accommodating for that diversity. Whereas like say I listen to a lot of like metal bands, you know there are some labels where, or like even like think of like the label like Kill Rock Stars, like out on the West Coast, like you know they do like the Melvins and they did Nirvana and they did you know, like you have this kind of like indie grunge kind of, when you think of it, that's what I think of when I think of like Southern Lord Records. I think of like super, you know, like metal grim overtones, and they have like you know like a black like high contrast, like it's a picture of a cathedral and a raven, and you're just like I don't know, it sets the tone for like what you're expecting. So if you had like a you know any label that like think of like I don't know, like Virgin Records. It's just pretty plain. You know, their logo is just pretty plain, but they encompass so many different types of artists. But if you think of like a genre label that has like, I mean, clearly if they do like EDM music, or if they do like punk music, or if they do, you know, classical music, like they're all going to have an aesthetic. They're going to have a look about it. And yeah, I mean, so here's a thought, shifting gears for a second. What are the thoughts on for folks for like copycat versus copyright, being influenced by something, wanting to co-opt a style, wanting to co-opt a brand that you like without outright stealing, like because that's also a big issue for people looking to define themselves.
Did anyone see the story with Lyric that happened last week or this week? There's an esports team. I can't remember what game, but it was a team that they did quite well in some tournament, and as such the tournament organizers tweeted out about the two teams that were in the final or whatever, and their logo was there, and it turned out their logo was basically a straight rip-off of Lyric's logo, like the cat smile thing.
Like the, yeah.
And I mean,
like the Cheshire Cat thing?
Yeah, I mean, fair play to them. I think they basically said, look, we Googled, found this image, and then made our changes to it. We didn't really realize. And I believe they're changing it now, but it kind of shows how easy it is to kind of go under the radar, because nobody had obviously picked up on that until it went on Twitter and went huge. And when you see the two side by side, I mean, Lyric says it's happened to him before as well. I think it's something that everyone probably deals with.
Yeah.
But particularly the cat image, like it's hard to explain. It's just like a smiley face, but it's clearly a cat, and it sort of looks quite evil and scary. You would think that would be an image that's quite unique and hard to rip off, but it still got ripped off nonetheless. Yeah, I just thought that was relevant since we were kind of jumping onto that. It's kind of an interesting thing that happened.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I think like anybody in the arts, be it music, be it drawing, illustration, what have you, it's I think not having the experience to know better sometimes can get you into trouble, because you really want to aspire to create something as amazing as the things that you already appreciate. And sometimes, like I had a friend who was like really, and he played guitar. He was a really good guitarist, but like, I mean, he would definitely grab riffs from this and things from that and like mash them together, because I mean, that's what he knew at the time. And so like he wasn't doing it. I mean, it was original, but it wasn't. And like when I was doing some of my early art, like I was definitely sort of aping certain styles, because I didn't know what my style was. I knew what I liked, I knew what I was interested in. And so like I would make things that just kind of felt derivative. And on occasion, some things where like, oh, I'll just take a little snippet of that. And it's like it enters a moral gray zone with like remixing and all of that, which is like a wholly different topic for a different podcast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I mean, it I think it can be difficult, because you want to do something that is original, but how do you do something original when it feels like everything has been done?
Yep.
Well,
I can
everything
feel-
has been done. Everything has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
done. And that's the problem. So like with my logo, it's Eric Dollister Film, so it's a D with the film stripes in there. Amazing logo, perfect logo for it. Like I can't picture a better logo for the company. The second I posted it, DoorDash. Oh, that looks just like DoorDash. But DoorDash is because it's the D and then like the little lines for like the dash part to make it feel like it's moving fast.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of can't win. Like there's gonna be something somewhere. The original part, corny as hell, is you.
Yeah.
And what makes you different. That's the true brand, is like what you like even if DoorDash and I had the same exact logo, which again wouldn't be the thing, we'd be two completely different things, so it's hard, because you can kind of end up sitting there changing things, tweaking things and stuff like that. But I mean, everything, like, just you gotta chill, because like everything has been done, like everything, I swear to God. I picked Eric Dollister Films as a name because I was like, I don't even want to try to get a cool name. Like, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna look and try to like lock in like I can't even try. I'm creative, but not in that sense. I was just like, nah, I'm not even gonna try.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you do a Google search, it's like naming a band.
Right.
When we were trying to name, and I mean, it's insane actually. This is like a bit off topic, but like when we were coming up with a name for our band, we really liked Fairweather Friends. We were like, oh, that's a cool name. Like, we're gonna go with it. And we searched it up and we found another band with the same name, but they were located in Poland, and they did like a vastly different style of music to us. And we kind of thought, what's the worst that could happen? There's no way this is going to come up. It's not like they're even in the same country as us. We'll be fine. Nobody's going to get us confused. And I shit you not, I played a gig in a venue in Glasgow, and after the show, these two girls came up to me and they started speaking to me in Polish, and I was so confused, and then they were confused, and then eventually they went, "You're not the same Fairweather Friends, are you?" And I was like, "No!" And we got tagged and stuff on Facebook all the time. And then it would be like a whole thing in Polish that we couldn't understand, and then just Fairweather Friends tagged. And we're like, what? And then eventually they reached out to us, and I remember the band were all like, oh God, what do we do? What do we do? Like, it's amazing. And just something as simple as a name, and you would never think those two things could not really be further apart. Still got mixed up. No, they were very friendly, but like there was a language barrier, so it was difficult. Just interesting.
They could have been threatening me. I don't really know.
Maybe, yeah.
But,
They really pick up on it.
Being a graphic designer, like you can start something completely fresh, like not use any reference material, and then like you'll see almost the exact same thing that you've created completely from your brain, and it looks almost identical, and you're like,
Yep.
how? Like how? It's almost like trying to write a new song. Everything's been written, but it's almost you owning it and putting it in a very specific way and making it yours. I mean, it's hard not to copy somebody. Like it's hard not to see something and go, that looks amazing as a logo, I'm gonna use it. But it's almost touching on what Grog said. It's making it yours and making sure that you don't just take it and instantly put it
Yeah,
on yours.
never just take a thing and make it yours and just say
Mhm.
I made this. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, but taking the inspiration and tweaking it and reworking it and, like Billy said, crafting it to make it your own, that's fine. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Like my stream overlays when I started, everything was original save a few things. And but I did try at the time to get things that were in the public domain, things that were open source, so that I could go to bed at night not really worrying about it. And then later I realized, like, if I did nothing new to the stream, it would be fine. If I did nothing new at all, it would be fine because it was open source. There were things in the public domain and I created everything else, but I wasn't content with it. And I knew I could do better and I could tighten it up. So basically, over time, I just felt compelled to refine it and keep crafting it and reworking it. And then, I kind of got to a place where I felt comfortable. And Dolly will do that for the rest of his life because he can't not
Yep.
Yeah.
tinker.
It's just
I guess for people who don't have that skill set, maybe they have a loud personality and they're great on camera and they're really good at engaging fans and they're really good at streaming or gaming, but like they don't have it together to create these assets that you need. Like, where could people start? Like, where do people look if you're not self-starting?
Yeah, it's a good topic to kind of drag it back. You were talking about copycatting. I mean, you look on Twitch, there's so many people that are trying to steal bigger name styles, that if they've got like the Leafs on the wall and all this kind of stuff, but you almost look past that and you see the brand of somebody. You see what their personality is, who they are as a person. And to a certain extent, because I know how hard it is to not like use reference material, you can see the streamer for who they are, but eventually you can't get past that if they're just straight copying someone 100%.
Yeah.
It goes for personality as well. There's so many knockoffs of like Doc and all that kind of people, and
Yeah.
Doc, you're never gonna replicate them. You can't duplicate them.
You're not gonna beat him either.
Like, no,
Exactly.
no. I mean, he's been through so many goddamn scandals, and he's still there. He's still one of the most popular content creators of this decade. God knows how much he's worth. He buys a new fucking Bugatti like every year or whatever.
I think a big thing that I used to sort of practice when I was trying to come up with new content or new ideas, and I was just feeling, creatively drained, is I would just watch people that I relate to and people that I respect and look up to in terms of streaming. It doesn't even have to be streaming. I would watch YouTube. I would watch talk shows, anything where there's somebody running a show, and look at their style, look at what do they do, how do they keep this going, particularly like if you're struggling with something such as, okay, well, maybe I'm struggling to keep a chat moving, maybe I'm struggling to keep talking. Look at comedians, look at all these different medias, and watch what they do and take something, but don't take it as is. Take it, make it better. Take it, change it to fit your style, right? Anything you can do to kind of, because again, like we've said a million times, everything's been done. Being completely original, yeah, it's gonna be very difficult, but you can definitely take inspiration and make it your own. That is the huge thing, in my opinion. And I mean, when this podcast, right, originally, this whole group channel started out as was it me, you, and Kibbles, Manu? Originally?
Yeah, I think so.
We
No, I
used
think
to...
Java.
And Java as well, sorry,
Java
yeah.
as well, yeah.
We used to get into Discord like once a month,
four.
and we had originally set out a business plan of how we wanted to kind of grow our channels and what we wanted to focus on month. And it was like we would set a goal for each of us that month, and we'd come back and we'd talk about it the next month and what we did, and discuss between us, and then move to the next thing. And one of the very first things that I put in this business plan was just go and watch content. Watch as much as you can. Maybe take some notes. Think actively while you're watching that, even in your free time. How are they doing that? How are they keeping that engagement going? How are they doing this? What is their branding like in this situation? How are they maintaining a brand? How are they pushing that? All that sort of thing, and just make it better. Take it, make it better.
Well, what's so poignant about that, Condi, and I couldn't agree more, is that you're looking at it with a critical eye as a viewer. You're looking at it right in that exercise. you are the viewer trying to discern what you like about that. And really that just translates to if you know what you want as a viewer, then hopefully you can provide those same things to your viewers. You have a better insight. You're not just like making a thing in a vacuum as an abstract without any like touchstone for like what a viewer gets out of the equation. So by being a consumer first and knowing what you really want, it definitely guides you for sure.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
the huge difference between what you've just represented, Condi, and then straight copycatting somebody goes back to the basics of business. If I can do something better, I'm not copying somebody.
Yeah.
So you taking that content, making it your own, and making it better, producing it for your own viewership, it's the key to success, because you're taking a very simple idea that you've saw and then developing it into something that you want to represent. It's perfect in this situation.
Yeah.
Not only will that work for creating your own brand, or I mean, creating whatever it has to do with, you're taking. I mean, there's a line you have to walk between, one side of it's copying and the other side's being inspired by, and you want to be on the inspired by side for sure, absolutely every time. And the
Always,
way
yep.
you do that is making it your own, changing it, tweaking it, expanding on it, to where you are in the inspired side and not on the copying side.
Mm-hmm. And if and so picking inspiration and what's the word, references and stuff are great, because that's a great place to start, because like I said earlier, and pretty much what everybody's agreed upon is yourself. If you know yourself and you know how to like kind of how to figure it all out, you can definitely figure it all out. But as long as you're being real about it and you're not being persistent on like, well, I want blue and I want this font, like, does that make sense? Like, does that make sense for you? Like, like Facebook, LinkedIn, those are both like those dark blues for a reason. YouTube, Marcus, Netflix, they're all red for a reason, so you can definitely do it. You can definitely do it yourself, if you're just if you're hard-headed about it. If you're not hard-headed about it, and if you don't really know yourself, because it's like it's like when you're in class, go around and say 3 things about yourself. Like, if you struggle with that, then yeah, maybe ask some of your friends and be like, hey, who, like, what would you say that I am? Like give me like 5 words to like start with. Like, am I fun?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
awkward?
I think some
shy,
of this actually transitions into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which was where do you go if you need an outside source? Do you go to Fiverr?
Mhm.
Do you go to friends? Free templates? Like, because my experience with freelance graphic design was limited because I spent a lot of my time doing design um, as part of my undergraduate degree, and then I did it for like about a year or two freelance. The thing is, a lot of people think they know what they want as a client. Like they're like, I want it
Mhm.
blue, I want it this way, I want it
Mhm.
that way, and then you're like, their ideas are bad. Like, you just know. I mean, like, there's just there are. I mean, with anything expressive, uh, optimally, you want to say there's no right or wrong. It's all just interpretation of it. Objectively, though, there are certain design do's and don'ts, and some people
Mhm.
don't know what those are, and they feel very strongly about what they want to have, but they don't necessarily have the background or the understanding to appreciate why certain things work well together, why complementary colors can be important, why consistency in typeface is important. Those things just might be glossed over. They're just like, they saw a thing, they liked it, it's cool, they want to emulate it, but they
Mhm.
need that outside feedback from friends or maybe from other resources.
Mhm.
I mean, Dolly has been doing like work for people here in our community, in addition to the work that you do professionally, like for the wedding films and things like that, and for the studio. But like, there are other outlets. Fiverr is one that I think of that a lot of people use, that because it's such an easy access point.
Yeah.
I haven't
But I
used
would be
it, but
curious to hear others that people have used that have been successful.
if I'm not wrong, Kibbles, did you not originally, or maybe at some point, use Fiverr for some emotes?
Yep.
I did as well.
Still using those ones,
Yeah.
and used it for band logos, and I've had great experiences and very bad experiences. So
Yeah.
it's really, you have to check out, just like with anything like this, you have to check the person out. If they don't have a lot up to show what they do, maybe kind of dial it back, especially with Fiverr, because it seems there's a lot of people on there that like to put up stuff that's obviously not theirs.
Right.
Because they'll have some extraordinarily professional things, and then you scroll over a couple images and it's like, well, hold on. So it's that you really have to be careful, and you definitely get what you pay for on Fiverr. Don't go for $5 things.
Makes
I know
sense.
the name of the site, but yeah, I think the emotes for mine, it was 4 of them, and it cost about $60. If you're going less than that on that site, you're probably gonna get burned.
Do you want to explain what Fiverr is for people who don't know, Kibbles?
Yeah, it's a site where you can basically pay for anything
Any
within
service.
legal realm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can get like voiceover work, you can get hire musicians, emotes, overlays, any kind of. I had somebody do a painting of one of our dogs for my wife for a present. So you can get a bunch of different things on there.
That's
It's a
really
cool
cool.
site. You just
It's almost
gotta
like
be
a
careful.
work notice board, like
Mhm.
a classifieds for.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll do this thing. This is my price range.
Yeah,
It's-
and it ranges across all different prices as well. Like I actually got my Fiverr. Same dude that Harris Heller Alpha Gaming used for his, because when I saw that video, I was like, that's the dude. That's the guy that I was looking for. I just needed to see somebody do that
Oh,
to
it's
their logo.
the same guy.
The same guy.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, that's him. That's
really
the
cool.
one.
I know the
paid
video
him
you're
same.
talking about. Yeah.
I paid him the same. I was like, I don't care. This is it. So it can be really expensive in the hundreds like that, or it can be super cheap. So it's a really good place to start, and obviously it can be really good for even future. But you just gotta just be smart. Don't go with that one. Don't be sold on the initial image. And just like pick a couple, start a list. Go through. But also.
Yeah, I mean, you have a
Um,
mood board for your
Right.
brand template now that you can give out to people. You have like a mood board, which, well, I mean, do you want to explain what that is?
I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like all the inspirations, the aesthetic, the kind of colors that you seem to like be drawn towards more a style and stuff like that. So it kind of helps them like just kind of get a sense of you. So like when I went and got the logo, one of my favorite questions of his was, what's your competition? What is he like? What is he or she like? What's like their logo look like, or whatever, like. So what makes you stand out from them. And it was funny because I paid for 2 logos, and one was like a super advanced version of like the logo that
It looks cool.
the old logo. Yeah, it was like the old logo and the new logo like combined with my own branding on it. I was like, dude, if I wanted to step on some toes and swerve hard into that lane, I'd pick that one, but I picked this one because it just made more sense. But so wait, I got off track. ADD, man.
Well, so something you said that got me thinking too about my own experience with contracting some work was, keeping your eye open for what you like, and then whereas you contacted the guy who did a logo for someone who you already appreciate, you already appreciate Harris Heller and what he does, and you saw that, oh well, this is where he got his work done through. I'm gonna find that guy because I really like what they did. I did the same thing for my stinger. Sorry, not my stinger, my alerts. There's a guy, Rotting Jackal, who had done work for a number of people for the streaming community for gaming, and I really liked what he did for his like static 2D stuff. His animated stuff was pretty good, and I was just like, I started following him on Instagram, and that's actually how I became more acquainted with his work, beyond just say Twitter. But he had done work for a couple channels that I liked, Iceman being one of them, Destiny Fun Police being another, and I really liked how smooth and crafted it was, and that he clearly had an eye for detail and clearly had an eye for trying to capture the essence of the person he was doing the work for. So I followed him for a bit, and I was just like, I just kind of want to see what he does. And I checked out other people at the time too, and then I just kept watching his work, and then I saw a few pieces that were like, fuck that. If that was mine, I would fucking die to have that as mine.
Yep.
Like, I want that piece. If I could just actually have, because he was posting some works in progress on his Instagram, and I was like, dude, if I could just have that work in progress, like I don't even care if it's finished. Like I would incorporate that in my stream today. And then I was like, wait, if I like it that much, I should just talk to him, right? Like that's not crazy, right? And it was an investment, but it was worth doing because I spent the time to think about what I really wanted, and I had that gut check of, nope, there's no second guessing. This is exactly what I want, and I want him to do it because this is the person that I feel like I can really trust coming out the other side. And we worked on the project together. He got some great feedback from me in terms of like he asked really good questions, and I told him exactly what I wanted because I knew. So like Dolly with his mood board in terms of having a clear sense of this is what I want. I was able to tell him, here are examples of things that you've worked on for other clients. I love all of these, and these are the reasons why I love each one specifically. And then from that, I also said, "Here's are the things that I like, and these are the things that I want to do with my channel." And having that open communication allowed him to have some insight into what I wanted, and he nailed it. I mean, he absolutely nailed it. I have zero regrets for how that project worked out, and I think it's because he knew what I wanted and I knew what I wanted, and we just hammered it out.
You were super straightforward on like what you like, not only what he did, but like what you wanted. So he knew like, yeah, you gave him like all the info that basically he needed to like just to own it. And if you don't, for those that don't are like, well, I don't want to pay for anything, I'm gonna try to figure it out myself. Like honestly, dude, YouTube Academy is like where it's at. YouTube Academy, like just honestly, there's so much free stuff on YouTube to like learn. Just like honestly, like be assertive, like just just sit down for like an hour, maybe 2 hours a day, every other day, and just like learn. Honestly, like I pretty much learned almost everything I know camera wise from YouTube. I mean, also doing it and practicing and stuff like that. But as far as, where I learned it all from, yeah, YouTube. And then honestly, and I know it's like a huge sponsor. I'm not sponsored by them, but Skillshare. I mean, honestly, there's so many YouTubers. You're already on YouTube, and they're all sponsored by Skillshare, and we're locked down right now. They're giving away 2 free months all the time.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other, and that's way longer content. That dives way deeper. And those, I would say those are 2 great places to start. I mean,
I'll drop a third too, which is both geared towards like our artistic endeavors as well as mechanical endeavors, like learning software and things like that, which sometimes is a precursor to creating the brand. You have to learn how, if you're going to have like a cool video brand, like you need to know how to edit first. And if you don't know how to edit first, or you don't know how to use Photoshop first, that could be a hindrance if you want to do it yourself, if you want to do it for free. And I would be remiss as a librarian if I didn't advertise that some libraries, at least here in the United States, have access through their online databases. There's a resource. You can either do it paid, so you can do it. You can like Skillshare. You can just straight up as a individual citizen say, like, I want to go sign up for this thing. But it's lynda.com, Lynda, the Free Library of Philadelphia, of where I work and I live. All of our citizens can access it for free in total. There's no limit to what you can do. It's basically like Skillshare or like Masterclass, where basically you sign in and you get taught a course on how to do a thing. And it's music, it's the arts, it's coding, it's like software stuff, and it's just a great tool. And so there are things out there if you really want to be determined to do it yourself. I think you can.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, I just checked out the website. It's the you scroll, you take one scroll down. Not even right in the front. Start my free month. Boom.
Yeah. And I will also say too, free templates are not a bad place to start. Free templates through Stream Elements, through Streamlabs, through like various. There's some people. Oh God, I feel bad now that I forget the guy's name. He's a Brit that does stuff on YouTube. He has glasses. He's a very nice gentleman, but he.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I wish I could hype him.
The name.
Gaming Academy, something maybe.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
We're basically, but there's like people like Epos Vox for like audio. Like there's people out there who are already looking, like their content creation is not necessarily sitting down and entertaining their chat and like gaming or doing something on stream. It's like it's teaching other people how to do the thing. Like that's their content. Their content is education. Those are great places to start. But honestly, like people like that, might have templates that you can use either on their personal website, or if they're affiliated with a larger design group, they might have things that you can just download that are freeware, open source. And there's nothing wrong with a free template. You can start there, and because of the way that overlays work, and because of the way that these both stream elements and OBS and slobs, like the way that you can configure a scene, you can piecemeal pick apart all the disparate bits from different themes, from different free templates, and mix and match them together.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I like that webcam source, and I like that chat box, and I like this alert. Like that's what I did to start.
It gives you a start.
And then just merge them to your colors that you picked and the fonts that you want and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's a stepping stone. And honestly, like, I mean, there's so many of them now. It's not like people will necessarily be like, oh, that's just a free template. I mean, some of them
gaming careers. I know.
Yeah,
that's the name, by the way. Gaming careers.
Gaming careers. That guy's awesome. Yeah. Gaming careers is worth checking out for some of that stuff. Harris Heller, we've already mentioned. Epos Vox, I like for audio. He has some really good information there. So
he's a genius when it comes to audio. It's insane.
So these are all like resources that like some of us, have stumbled across freely, and we, have self-taught. But I don't know. I guess the thing to maybe move on to last would be rebranding.
Before we get into that,
I'm gonna leave you.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that, I just want to kind of underline this, right? So, in my opinion, if you're brand new to Twitch today, or Mixer, or YouTube, or wherever you're starting, you do not need to come into this with a brand. Okay, I think it's very important that we make that clear, right?
Yes.
Too many people, I think, they say, oh, well, I might start streaming. I'm going to try and make sure I get this perfect and this perfect and this perfect, right? None of that matters when you first start out. I never decided on a brand. I still haven't. It's just something that over time, as I stream, these things build up, right? And if you spend all your time trying to get everything perfect, then you're never going to get started. Don't worry too much about this. It is perfectly okay to have emotes that you've done yourself, even if you don't think they're the best. It's a starting point. It's perfectly okay to reach out to people that might do, cheap emotes and things like that. Your chat is a huge resource. Like, I'm not even kidding, man. Like,
they know what they want to see.
Yeah, that guy called Manu. This guy here has made so many videos for my YouTube channel, right? Because I suck at editing. I'm getting better, but I suck at editing. He's amazing, right? And he's somebody that I met through Twitch. He came into my chat. We became friends. And now he's done a ton of stuff for my channel, right? Dolly, same exact story. Came into my chat and now has done amazing stuff for my channel as well. People in your chat have skills. And if they're willing to help you, make use of that, right? Like there's a lot of people out there that want to help. And they might not be the best. They might not be super professional. They might be, right? You don't know. But if you're just starting out,
okay.
I was gonna say they won't all be Dolly.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying you got to start somewhere, and it doesn't matter straight away. If you don't fucking nail it first time, do it again. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you've got time to build.
Do it again.
Yeah,
well, you'll get there. And it helped because as a viewer of Condi, I kind of knew what all the strengths were and what should be highlighted in his streams, so that kind of just helped a whole bunch as well. And honestly, he kind of said he doesn't really have it together, but
I don't.
Being super blunt, I clicked on his stream because it said bearded Scottish comp. And I'm like, wow, this man's like self-aware. And I click on it. What do I get? Yeah. Yeah, and what do
the man delivers.
And those are all branding things.
Yeah, plays. It's fantastic.
Well, and those are all branding pieces. I mean, because I mean, at least for streaming, you hear the person talking all the time. Yeah, Scottish dude, beard.
Oh,
beard. The beard is present.
It's funny how many times people come into his chat and just like, I mean, because I play with him a lot, and so it's like I have his chat open.
He gets
and rated. Like, oh yeah, I clicked on your name because it said bearded Scottish guy, and it's like. Perfect.
I never have to change my title. It's the same every time.
That's a great thing too. That's a great thing. You never have to. It's awesome.
But like
Titles
there's
suck.
things that you can do. So like for me, yeah, part of it's my title's always a play on I have a beard and I'm Scottish. That's basically all the way around it, right? Kibbles, right? For example, his videos on Twitter, right?
Oh my god!
At
So
this
good.
point, that's I consider that a part of Kibble's brand. Just like
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know, just insanity,
Wow.
screaming and I don't know what to expect. But,
Crazy
you know,
man barging through a door, going.
Throwing the phone.
yeah, like so, you know, things like that are so simple. You don't have to spend ages getting the right font and the right emotes. Like, make your brand whatever you want, and just do what feels
Take your
right,
time.
and it'll get there.
Take your
Don't
time.
force it.
Exactly.
Just let it happen.
I just wanted to kind of
Well, and it
underline
develops.
that.
Prolapse something if you force it.
Yeah, like it develops. Like Kandi's whiff emote and like the whole whiff joke and the fact that he sucks at games and stuff like that. That didn't start when you first started playing games because he had no games to play to see
But yeah, I felt like
But
it
you know
was
what I mean.
it was relevant to bring that up. You know, branding, it's important because it's to any business, to any company, to any organization like this. You know, branding is important. I mean, the Twitch itself, branding is so I don't iconic seems like the wrong word, but like, you know what I mean? You've got the bleed purple, you've got the little glitch logo, right? Like, it's so recognizable to anybody that spends time on the platform. And they did a rebrand last year, end of last year.
Yeah.
People didn't like it at first. Like, it was like a
No.
big thing, and I'm still getting used to it because I miss old Twitch, but like, that's a big thing, you know, and the impact it had just by changing some of their imagery, you know, made a big deal, but they still
It's
have
fun-
the same brand.
It's funny you mention that because honestly, that is a great example of what to look at. If you Google Twitch brand, I think it's one of the first links that you see. Twitch has its own landing page for its brand. It walks you through, here are the visual assets that we use, here are the logos that we use, here are all the
I'm gonna
hex
check
codes
that
for
out.
all the official colors that we use. Like in my logo, I borrowed two of the colors. The gradient in the skull that I used was actually two of their colors. I wanted to be Twitch centric.
Yeah.
So the purple and the green are actually two of their colors that just have a gradient between them. And I used their hex keys because I wanted to make sure that I fit the brand, which was the platform that I was on at the time.
That's really cool.
And still am. And like, so they have a landing page that walks you through, here are all the assets for designers, here are all the assets for would-be designers, here are, if you need to reference, it's a press kit. Basically, it's a press kit, but it's a press kit for people who need to know quick, what's the elevator pitch for the company? What do they do? What do they look like? What do they sound like? And then sometimes we come up with those things and then we have to rethink them. we
lot.
might have to rebrand them.
Yeah.
Every couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you. I just, as I say, I just felt like it was important.
No. You're. That was. I'm so
round it
glad
out
you.
with that.
You.
And I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know that thing about Twitch with the landing page. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that later.
Yeah.
I
Same.
watched it. It's dope.
I think most companies have something like that, because I remember one of my classes I did for school, I had to basically create this brochure based on Verizon, and I specifically had to use Verizon's color schemes, and so I had to get their hex codes for, they have a specific red, obviously, Verizon red, black, and like two shades of grays and whites, and make a brochure, you know, looking like Verizon made it. And so like that actually was kind of a good training learning experience. I mean, it was for a class, so I mean, I learned something, I guess. But just kind of like how a company goes about with their brands
Yeah.
and maintaining a consistency across the board.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sorry. Let's. We can jump back to the next topic we were on about, which was the rebranding.
Yeah. Why would somebody want to rebrand?
Mm-hmm.
Why have you rebranded?
There are trends in like just logos and brands just in general. Like, I don't know if people remember Facebook, Instagram, like literally all of them were all 3D logos, and they all changed them to be flat, like relatively within the like a year or two span.
Yeah.
You know, so there are trends, so you might just want to keep up with the trends. And I think it's like a golden rule is like to change it every, it's like 8 years or 6 or 8 years you're supposed to do a rebrand of some sort, and not like crazy, right? Because like Facebook still kept the same like fonts and colors and stuff, but like they just did, you know, the little hits.
Yeah.
You know, just to spice it up a little bit, keep it fun. I mean, Taco Bell, Jesus, They rebranded like 4 times, and I feel like the last like 5 years. Don't ask me how I know that. I don't totally go there all the time, but you know. So yeah, there's trends. So you might just want to keep up on the trends. I thought I'd just address that first because like you'll kind of notice that you might have another one.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about the fact that a rebrand doesn't necessarily mean like I feel like there's a difference between like a rebrand and like a brand refresh almost.
Yes.
I feel like I feel like I like almost feel like I went
makeover.
Through exactly. I feel like I went through a bit of a refresh when I added all the new stuff that you made for the stream, Dolly, and whereas
because it was all those elements are there already.
Exactly. It's just something new, something fresh that keeps everything moving along. Something like a full rebrand, maybe with you might have a reason for doing that, whether it's changing your name or even switching the type of games you play.
Or just the logo. Maybe everything stays the same, but you get an updated logo. I've seen people. What was it? Iceman did that recently. Not like with his ice where it says Iceman, but he got like a new face logo, like a new illustrated,
like an avatar almost.
Yeah, exactly. And like so he did that as an adjunct to like the logo that he already had. And then sometimes like Connie said, sometimes you just want to change it up completely.
Yeah. Well, I think on that note, we should first of all go to Josh here and talk about the kind of rebrand that he's been through recently. Just give us your thoughts and sort of why and what went into it.
It kind of goes back to what we were originally talking about at the beginning of the podcast, where branding is kind of an extension of yourself, and it's kind of hard to dial that in unless you kind of know what you're about. And I mean, it can get deep for me personally. It can get kind of deep, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's a struggle for me to find something that really represents myself when I may not know where I'm at personally.
That is
that's real.
Well, I mean, because like growing up, I was the fine arts guy. Drama. I did a bunch of graphic design stuff, movie editing. Like that's where I was at. That's where I thought I was going.
Mm-hmm.
And then things changed. And now I'm more like technical. I went into the military, got electrical engineering type stuff. And now that's kind of what I do now. Completely 180 from like right brain, left brain. Like it is completely different. And, I'm personally not satisfied with where I am. And it's not fulfilling. I'll say that. It pays the bills. I can support my family. So, I mean, it serves a purpose. And so I struggle with that. And so when it comes to like my branding, my name, it wasn't representing what I necessarily wanted. So I always am just kind of looking for something that really kind of hits home and, represents what I want to represent. And the change to Sir Humps. So Humps, my last name's Humphreys, and being in the military specifically, everyone calls you by your last name. They shorten it, so I was called Humps forever. Instagram handle was Sir Humps already, and I think I don't know, I just thought it was fun. I mean, it's a little throwback. It's got my last name, also, Sir Humps a lot. So I mean, and I feel like it's
right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Right now, I'm satisfied with it. I feel like when I found out that Twitch had it open, I was like, oh shit. Instagram, little underscore at the end, no big deal. The guy that has it, the account Sir Humps on Twitter is suspended, so I'm hoping that eventually it'll get like discontinued and I can just grab it.
Same.
Yeah. I want to be Sir Hump with 3 S's.
I mean, something takeaways for me, like, because you've talked about this like off stream, just like in chat. Like, I think two things that stand out for me. One, you've changed it because you still have a fire and a drive to keep improving. You want to keep working at it because it's something you really like. It's like you clearly have a desire to do this thing, and you want to give it all you can. And so like you haven't dropped the ball in terms of like letting your attention slip onto other things. The second, it is an earworm things that stick in your head, things that are iconic, things that are short, brief, catchy. I mean, sometimes you see like a TTV, like in that you're playing against in a game, and it's like Elixir, and it's spelled like some crazy fucking way with like a Cyrillic R somewhere, and you're just like,
And a 3.
how would I search for that? Or like like you have these names where you can come up with like some super cool thing, but like if it isn't easy to remember, what's the point?
Yeah.
Sir Humps
Yeah.
is easy. And now, whether you like it or not, we haven't stepped into a war with the Cabal, but your name, people are riffing on it a lot recently, calling you Shrumps or Shrimp. And I know,
Which makes sense.
And I know that's been a point of contention for you. But here's the thing: we're talking about it. We haven't stopped talking about it. It's what I mean. Like, it's kind of a good thing if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, we can do that.
At least that's how I see it.
Yeah,
but
Right.
absolutely. And it's the consistency, having it the same name across everything, like you said, works for you. And I almost sort of knew this was coming because you had a slightly different version of Polar before, and then you changed it. And I kind of thought, like, I got the impression you weren't fully happy with Polar_J. So, dude, I'm glad that you've changed that. I think it's good. And
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, it hits more with the brand because one, it's your actual damn name at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But also, it's a funny name, and what just happened? You're always the one to get the most laughs. Like it's far more on brand than Polar J.
You said it.
Yeah. So in terms of that, just to kind of dive a bit more into it, I know you've kind of updated some overlays with the new name and changed handles everywhere else. Do you have any more plans on changing, anything else? Because I know like your emotes on Twitch are like quite based around just like you already. So I feel like they wouldn't necessarily need.
They're Bitmojis.
Yeah.
That's what they are. I mean, I yes. So right now my overlays on Twitch, they're not free. They're from Owned. I paid $40 for it.
Okay.
So it came with like everything on it, like including the font. So like I have no worries about using the font in terms of like a business side of it because I paid for all of it. I like simple, which might be just like a contradictory to how my life is. So maybe just somewhere I can, somewhere on like my channel, you know what I mean? Like clean, simple. That's what I like. And so that's kind of why I picked it. I'm not like super satisfied with it. I think it works and it looks fine for what it is. I would like to get some updated with more personalized simple instead of just kind of a generic. Anyone can still go buy this thing that I have. It's not like mine. Like no one else can buy this thing. Like you go pay $40 and you can get it too.
But I think you're in like a comfortable place too, where it's like that would be a nice to have, not a need to have now.
Right. Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
you have a strong personality, you have a strong presence on your channel. Like people, like I feel like for you, you have a big persona, and I think like you don't need lots of overlays, to compensate for that.
Yeah, then it'd just be way too much instead of just maybe slightly too much.
And then, I mean, Cyber, obviously, a couple of rebrands. The man who just cannot make up his mind. Again, it's, moving. Obviously, you moved from Mixer, come over to Twitch. Well, you originally Twitch to Mixer and then back to Twitch. And I know you've had a bit of a rebrand recently. And I saw you had some really good Twitter material, came out little videos and stuff with the rebrand. What was your kind of thoughts there, and kind of what's your plans with that now?
One of the biggest things that really annoyed me was the 0 in my name. Like Cyberwolf is taken everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of a very simple name. So like if I went into a game, I couldn't get it. So I had to like do the whole .mixer or the .tv or whatever. And I just wanted to get something that was unique enough and didn't sound stupid. Like there's a lot of usernames where it's like it's got like 30 characters, and if you look at like Condyfly, Just Grog, Sir Humps, Kibbles, ItsyaDoliBoi. It's like I couldn't find anything that represented me until I understood that I'm just Cyber. Like, and then once I focused on that, like I managed to find something that I wanted to develop a lot more, which was more YouTube content, and I didn't want it just to be just gaming. I wanted to branch out, and then Project came into my head. So obviously I checked everything, and it's not taken anywhere. So individuality that I saw that represented just grabbed me, and I was like, I'm gonna chuck everything out the window and just focus on that. One of the biggest drawbacks for me was obviously the name change, but everyone knows me as Cyber, and I
Yeah.
can get the Cyber project on anything. Like as soon as a new game comes out, no one picks it. Like I can instantly get Cyber project, and it works for me. Um,
I think it's
went
great.
I went through an entire logo change, a bit more on brand. Like I'm covered in skulls. Like I wanted to change it obviously from the wolf and make it more to kind of show that I am good at graphic design, and I wanted to do like a whole piece where it showed off a whole bunch of personality without me having to actually do anything. I love animated designs, like I love animated overlays, and it fit. It was easy. Like it only took me about a day just to redesign everything and just kind of
That point
throw it
right
out.
there is really good. When you find something, you're like, I like this, and it's easy, you know you found it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it it shouldn't be super hard. I mean, at times it is, but like once you find it, you're like, ah, this is now easy because I found it. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
And
Mhm.
I was in a very similar situation to you. I knew like you didn't like the whole Polo J thing. You just kind of settled on it because you couldn't
Yeah.
find like like the simple name version. You had to add zeros and underscores and all that kind of stuff. I'm the exact same. And when I found that, it just clicked, and I just went for it. And I didn't even think twice about it. I just went for it. It wasn't even. I knew that the name change and the whole rebrand wouldn't affect the actual core brand that I had, and I just went for it.
Well, you
And
kept
it comes naturally.
you kept cyber in the name as well, which is huge, right? Because
Yep.
everyone, generally there's a part of the name that you're going to stick to, so like, for yourself
Generally.
it's cyber, generally, right? Like again with Kibbles, obviously his full name is the Mighty Kibbles. We just call him Kibbles. Grog is we just call him Grog, even though it's just
Yeah.
Grog, right? So like there's the kind of the part of the name that has the most relevance or the most recognizable. In your situation, you kept that cyber and just moved everything around it, and so I guess in that way it made the rebrand a little easier to go with as well, because you kept that part which people recognized.
Exactly, and it just works. It goes back to the point that you were talking about, Condi. Don't force it. I mean, obviously, Dollar came over from a background, and he already had his brand established, and he knew how he wanted to represent himself.
Yeah.
But once it works, and don't force it. Just let your personality flow into your brand, and then develop it over time. And it goes with what Grog was saying. Don't go and spend hundreds of dollars on an overlay that you know potentially in a year you're going to change because it doesn't fit with who you are now. Let it develop, let it expand naturally, and don't force it. Just be yourself. I think that's what everyone in this group likes to do. They don't want to force it. They don't want to be somebody who they're not, because it's exhausting.
Yep.
And
And the current that seems to run through everything that, like, Cyber, you've said, and Condi, and Humps. I almost said Polar. Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, we talked
Kibbles,
about
and
that
Dolly,
before I even
and
changed it.
Manu.
Like, I mean, I
Like,
messaged all you guys, and I was like,
speaking
"Game."
it's speaking to comfort. Just you want to be at a place where it feels comfortable. You want to feel content, and honestly, I think all of us struggle with different anxieties and pressures and stresses, and it's hard to be content about anything. But the closer you can get towards contentment, and just be comfortable working within that space, it's the
Mhm.
best you can hope for.
give it a week, and I'm going to change my name again.
So on that, is anyone else in here considering any sort of rebrand anytime soon? Anybody still kind of on the fence with changing a name or getting new, changing their stream assets? Anybody got anything like that coming up? Shocker! What a surprise!
The two men who can't get their finger off the button.
One of the biggest things that I needed to do quickly was move on that name. Like I needed to just make
Yeah.
sure that everything quickly fit so I could hit that go in live button, and I knew it would mesh well. But it's the perfection in me. I can always see a way to improve it, and I'm not gonna change it until like I've done everything. Like I've spent 50, 60 hours, like rebranding my stream, getting it perfect, and I haven't even those assets like in OBS yet. That goes with being a streamer. The work that you put outside of your actual like stream, that's how you're actually gonna improve everything, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to a couple for a couple overlays for the stream. Just first off, just so I stop tinkering. That's the main reason. But sometimes, honestly, you just need like, I mean, yeah, like I do this, but sometimes you also need to just like go to somebody and be like, hey, you know, like I already have everything figured out, you know, on what I want, you know, like how Grog went, you know, for his stinger. He's like, hey, this is what I like of yours. This is what, you know, I'm liking what I would like as well. Sometimes you just need to go to that because they'll nail it. Like for my logo, it's a D with with film wrapped into it, and it's like, well, duh, how didn't I think of that? But I went to that person because I just couldn't nail it, you know. So there's, you know, even for people like us that just do it, sometimes, you know, just go to somebody, you know. if you're spending
It's a new
months,
perspective.
you know, right, exactly. Sometimes you just need to see it with fresh eyes. I call it the creator curse. That's my little thing, is it's like I wish I could see the work that I put into like a music video or a wedding without knowing what the bride was like, what this ridiculous character was at the wedding was like, and how long I spent editing and how this part didn't work. And I just wish I could just see it without any context, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need, you know, just to see that and be like, that's dope, I like that. I'm not gonna mess with that at all. That's cool, you know, and then move on to the next thing that you tinker. But
I'm blessed with being incredibly uncreative when it comes to that kind of thing. So like, I'm taking this as a strength right now, because until somebody, I mean, Dolly literally had to message me and be like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but this needs to be better. This can be better. And as soon as he said it, I was like,
please don't hate me.
He's so right. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, please don't be mad at me like for saying this. But like, it made so much sense. And honestly, it's like Cyber will be like, I've made this for you. Please use it. And I'm like, you're okay. Thank you, Cyber. Yes, I'll take that. Yeah, I'm just collecting scraps from you know, to put in the stream. Like, I don't have a clue with graphic design. I can't. If anyone's played Scribblio with me, I can't draw. I have no artistic bones in my body with that, right? And I'm trying to get better. Like, I'm spending a lot of time learning like to edit videos and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm kind of getting the hang of it, but I don't have a clue. So I can't make my own stream assets. It will look awful, like Microsoft Paint level awful, right? So that's good in a way, but obviously it does mean that I then end up going between different people. And like, I'm in the process of getting some new emotes done, and I'm going back to the same artist that did my emotes previously because I absolutely loved her work and I thought she was great. And like, that's kind of, you know, I have someone that I'm going to go to for emotes from moving on now, and I'm kind of good with that. But like, everything else, if I had the power to do what like Cyber and Dolly, what you guys do, I know I'd be the exact same way. I just can't. I'm not good enough. So in a way, I'm taking that as a compliment, like as a strength I have almost with that.
It really is.
Yeah, I know, because like particularly you, Cyber, I know, like from knowing you for as long as I've known you, just seeing the constant different stuff, and every so often I'll just get a message in Discord with new overlays and stuff, and like it's just constant, and I don't know how you do it, but it's
I can't switch my brain off, because like I see something and I'm like, I really want to incorporate that in the stream, but in order to do that you need to change everything. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, I'm stuck inside, so let's go for it. I have literally changed my overlays in the last 2 days 18 times. I have 18 different templates, and I'm like, I delete them because I'm like, I can't do it again. But it's good to like rack your brain, because one of the biggest things in graphic like design is, you see, if you don't know how to do it, you don't know it's there. And once you do it once, you can use it on future projects. So like, you just,
that's true. Yeah,
you just keep it going.
recycling assets,
It's,
your own in particular. Yeah, or using that
I-
as a foundation for making like future changes.
Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I am from an engineering background, and I use AutoCAD, which is basically just a 2D software built with mathematics. And it's heavily like forced upon graphic like design as well. It's problem solving. Until you come up against a problem, you don't know how to fix it, and you don't know how to do it. So like, when I started, I didn't know how to like blur things or change the opacity on something, and then years later, I know how to do pretty much everything, and it's a curse because you're like, oh, that would be cool. I want to add this in, and I want to change my animations, and then it's like you go down the rabbit hole, and 60 hours later, you haven't slept yet.
It's the thing to remember is that YouTube is a phenomenal tool for that kind of thing. Like, as Dolly mentioned earlier, like you can learn anything you want on YouTube. It's amazing. And I did the exact same thing when I started getting into like using Adobe for video editing, and I'm not doing crazy editing, you know, I'm just trying to make videos for the channels and just do little simple things. But like just go into YouTube, find a little guide, and it just shows me, and I can learn it and pick it up, and then those things start to stick, and you start to get better. And like I'm very proud of myself, for example, that I taught myself OBS fairly well, I think. Like I kind of know most of it, and obviously for anyone that knows, like with OBS Studio particularly, the first time you open that up, it is so unintuitive for like starting a stream. Like it's really confusing, and I know that's why Streamlabs OBS exists. That's why these new, I mean, I think Twitch has their own one now. I haven't used it.
Yeah,
I believe Twitch has their own. Now these are built to be user friendly. They're built to be very good and easy to just understand and set up. OBS Studio, if you've never streamed before, looks like nothing. It looks like nothing, and I taught myself how to do it all, and you know, there's, you know, people I can reach out to, you know, if I'm stuck on something you know, with graphic design kind of stuff, I'm maybe going to reach out to Cyber because I know he knows more than me. Or PC stuff, you know, I've got people that I can ask for video editing stuff. You know, I can ask Manu if I'm stuck. There's all sorts of people that you can reach out to and teach yourself those things, but it is so satisfying to learn it yourself. And that's one thing I think on Twitch, people are very quick to just come in and be like, oh, well, how did you do this? How did you do that? And it's like, yeah, that can be helpful. It can be very useful. And if you can get some ideas and tips, that's great. But a lot of that stuff you can just search on YouTube and work it out, and you will learn so much more by just learning these things. You know what I mean? And putting yourself through that. I think that's valuable, and I'm very glad that I went to the effort of trying to learn all that stuff myself. Do we have anything else to add to this, or are we thinking that's time to wrap up?
There's only one thing I want to add. My wife is a design researcher. She does UX and UI research stuff for Dell. She's an incredibly smart and savvy person, way more than me. And she just had this on her shelf in her studio, which is...
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It's called Design and Brand Identity. It's 4th edition, although I'm sure other editions are fine, by Alina Wheeler. That's ALINA WHEELER. It's an essential guide for team branding, but also just for an individual. And it's great. I mean, it basically is just, it's talking about, you know, form and function and just, you know, basically, I mean, if you want a straight up meaty, you know, these are the nuts and bolts of how to create a brand, and you want to like go big league with it, like this is the kind of resource that you want. But it's a great tool. She uses it and likes it quite a bit, so I thought I'd plug that.
Brilliant.
Ironic how Grog further brands himself by talking about a book
Yeah.
about branding.
And it's just like,
That's such a good point. That's such a
amazing.
good point. I love it. All right, well, I think we can wrap up here then. Well, that's been an hour and a half. That's been pretty good.
Yeah.
One fairly deep dive into branding there. We do have a question in chat for our guest Dolly. I haven't read it yet, so I'm just relying on CK to actually give me a good question. So he says, Dolly, do you have a win in Warzone, or are you on the humps train?
Oh my gosh.
Who's that, Wolfie?
That is
No,
CK,
CK.
one of our mods here.
Oh, no,
And the more serious question was, how does it feel to have a better beard than Humps?
Ooh.
All right, come on. Let's
I don't know about that.
Come on, let's get a.
I don't know about that. I
Let's
don't know about
be
that.
real.
I mean, his is a little bit straighter, but
I'm picturing the
I don't
breakdance
know.
fighting scene from Zoolander.
What our beards doing.
I'd say,
wanna see it happen
we're
right
about
now.
the same. We have the same look. I just might seem like I have the more stereotypical image because of the glasses, maybe. I
I'm
don't
more
know.
gray and humps beard, honestly.
Shut
a little more ZZ
You're
Top.
not
A little more
wrong.
ZZ Top.
You're not wrong.
I'm sorry, that felt below the belt. I'm sorry about that.
Again, don't have kids. I'm just kidding.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah, let's start to wrap it up here. So, we'll go around and first of all, Grog, where can people find you on the internet, and what do you want to plug?
Right now, you can find me on Twitch at just_Grog, so JUST _GROG. I'm on Twitter at gamer_Grog because everything's taken on Twitter. And I'll be doing a stream in about maybe an hour or two with Bubbles, a friend of the podcast. We'll be finishing A Way Out, which is like that 2-player co-op game that I talked about earlier. And then, I don't know, we'll probably jump into some Warzone.
Heck yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Manu, you joined us late, but where can people find you on the internet, and what do you want to plug?
So
He hasn't said 2 words since. He's like, my throat, I need water.
nah, I'm just kidding. Okay, listen, people can find me on Twitch, that guy caught, same as basically everywhere. I've been streaming more lately. Like, I've been streaming 6 days or something.
You
That's
have
pretty
been.
consistent for me.
I seen you playing Monster Hunter. It made me want to buy it again.
Dude, it's so good. They delayed the update though, so I'm kind of sad. But I'm also working on a new video for the YouTube channel again because I haven't uploaded in 2 months as well.
Nice.
I'm pretty consistent, by the way. It's basically
Every
just
2
doing
months.
See, the thing is with me, I upload, and then I upload a month straight, like 5 videos a month or more, and then I just run out of ideas somehow. I don't know why. And
I
then
get
I
it.
just don't upload for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically that guy caught everywhere.
Cool.
And OnlyFans as well.
You're not allowed to advertise that on Twitch. That's TOS. He's. But do
He
it.
is joking.
But do it. But do
yeah,
it.
do it.
But do it. Humps, where can everyone find you, man?
You can find me on Twitch at Sir Humps. You can find me on Instagram at Sir Humps, and you can find me on the Twitters at Sir Humps _.
And what you got going on? What you plugging this week? What's your plans?
I don't even know. I Monday, Wednesday, Fridays I stream. I'll do. My work is a little wonky this week, so I don't know where that's going to be, but it'll probably be late streams. But I like maintaining that Destiny life and then sprinkling in some Warzone to keep it fresh.
Nice, cool, thank you. Cyber, same question.
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the cyber projects. This week I'm heavily going to be focused on Valorant ranked. I want to be better than Shroud, so you need to put in the work. I love that game. Like it caters to just high intensity gameplay, and I love it. So I'm heavily going to focus on that. Doing late streams on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I'm going to be streaming in roughly around about an hour.
Sick.
So I'm excited.
Cool. Kibbles.
You can find me at The Mighty Kibbles on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. It's The Mighty Kibbles on Twitter. On YouTube, I'm having a video on the Weird Al Show coming out with Condi, so that's probably
I was there
next week.
That you don't want to miss that video. I'm still recovering from filming it.
Yeah. Apparently, I wasn't screen sharing for the first 10 minutes. So
I was sitting
real
here.
I was like, man, he hates this. He isn't saying anything. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely check that video out, guys, because I can tell you it was very funny. Because I was so funny, not because Kibbles,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm cutting all my camera time out.
All right.
And last but not least, Dolly, how about you? Where can we find you? Who are you?
You can find me on Twitch at ItsyaDoliBoi. 1L. Too many people spell with 2 L's. I gotta emphasize that. And then Twitch, or I already said that. Yeah, Twitter as Dolly_boy, BOI. And I'll just leave it to those 2. I do have a YouTube. Anything else you can find me on is going to be Eric Dolster, which is going to be a whole lot of other stuff. But
You need your wedding filmed whenever the quarantine's lifted.
Want to fly me out? Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Music videos, anything like that? Yeah, hit me up. But
This shit's good. My wife cried watching one video. It was super good.
That black and white one, probably, right?
Yeah.
And then I normally stream Wednesdays and Sundays. Sundays I pretty much always edit live on Adobe Premiere Pro. So just come hang out. I got some chill vibes. And then I like to just stress that watching it, even if I'm not like editing like a gaming video or something, just to kind of see. One, you can just ask me anything, but just two, just kind of like observe like the normal things that I do and like learning like what all like the things that I go to all the time kind of do, because you can just pretty much just apply that to gaming videos as well. I would like to edit gaming videos, but I don't game enough. Anywho.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my friend. Guys, make sure you go and check out Dolly, give him a follow. But my name's CondyFly. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and also TikTok, CondyFly. On Twitter, I'm CondyFly with an extra Y because I'm kind of a bad boy. I got banned off Twitter. It's no big deal, you know. I'm kind of a rebel, but you know, that's a story for another time. And most importantly, please make sure and check out some more of the Zero Strategy stuff. Right, we're on Twitter at Zero Strategy Pod. And we have a YouTube channel. This week, we uploaded the first episode of our, I guess, reactionary, different style of content videos, which I think was really funny. A lot of support on that video, so if you have seen it, thank you so much. It's a TikTok video, because if you're trying to be a creator these days and you're ignoring TikTok, I think you're making a mistake. TikTok is huge. There's millions of eyes on TikTok, and there's some great memes on there. So if you're interested, make sure and sub to that YouTube channel. You can find us at Zero Strategy.
Right.
Yeah, if you're watching live, the link to the channel is in the chat there. Go and check that. We have more videos coming as well. I'm going to be working on one for the rest of the evening tonight, editing some stuff. We're also on Spotify, and we do this live on Twitch. So if you are listening to one of the audio versions of the podcast, you can find us usually on a Sunday. Twitch.tv/Zero Strategy Podcast. But yeah, thank you so very, very much for listening. I hope that you got something useful out of this conversation. If you did, let us know. I don't know, tweet us, comment on a YouTube video, something like that. That would be great.
Tweet at us.
Tweet at us. Yeah, that would be great.
You got questions? You got ideas? You got tweet at us.
Exactly.
If the podcast gets 1 million listeners, we release a song.
Okay, yeah.
100%.
I'm down.
100%.
I like
I'd be
it.
down.
Music video, the whole works. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
100%.
Dolly can help us with that, right? Music video?
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. It'll slap, dude.
It's a plan.
5 minutes straight.
Right.
It's a
Just all
plan.
dabs synced up.
My boy rapper Polar J might make an entrance on that. I promise you.
Ooh.
I found a guitar.
Yay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're watching live, make sure to stick around. We're gonna go and raid somebody. But yeah, other than that, make sure to join us probably next week for the next episode. And have a happy week. Later, guys.